What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Thursday, October 26th, 2023, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 2:16 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and I wanted to update you on the situation in the Middle East and also in Eastern Europe and Asia. So, before I get into the breaking news, I want to just quickly show you what's going on right now over our heads. So we currently have a US presidential doomsday plane in the air over northeastern Arkansas, and we also have two nuclear war command and control planes airborne as well. We have one with the call sign Pence 27, which is pretty funny. Obviously, that means Mike Pence 2027. And then here we have another nuclear war command and control plane off the coast of North Carolina near the Great Dismal Swamp. Pretty interesting location, and it's been doing these loops here for the last 2 hours. So, very, very interesting. And these planes are responsible for communicating with our nuclear forces in the event of a nuclear war. If ground based command and control were to get wiped out by enemy nuclear weapons, these nuclear war command and control planes can remotely launch all of our Minuteman III ICBMs, and they can also communicate with our submerged nuclear armed submarines to issue nuclear attack options and also the launch orders for the missiles. Okay. So the presidential doomsday plane is for the president of the US, and this plane is responsible for carrying the president during a nuclear war. During a cataclysmic event, the president could command the entire US nuclear arsenal from the air, which is actually safer than being in a bunker. And we also have two B 52s that took off from Guam and they were heading towards Southeast Asia. So, pretty interesting. Now, I have a viewer who lives near Raven Rock, which is the alternate National Military Command Center. This is where our defense officials would go and our top generals during a nuclear war, and they would command our nuclear arsenal from Raven Rock. And so this viewer told me that the last 4 days they've seen unusual military activity in the area, okay? And a white colored plane flew over the area, which could have either been an E4, a doomsday plane, or an E6, a nuclear war command and control plane. So I want to just update you on the Middle East and obviously all this activity we're seeing with the doomsday plane and the two nuclear war command and control planes up in the air today, and then these two bombers leaving Guam has a lot to do with what's going on in the Middle East. Guys, our nuclear forces are on high alert, okay? I personally believe we are at DEFCON 2, and I think we've been at DEFCON 2 for a while now. So our military is at the highest level of readiness. Our nuclear forces are at the highest level of readiness. So, according to Politico, citing a Pentagon source, at least 19 American soldiers have been diagnosed with traumatic brain injury as a result of the pro Iranian militia attacks on U.S. military bases in Iraq and Syria over the last 2 weeks. Okay, 19 of our boys with TBI, traumatic brain injury. Okay, from these pro Iranian scumbags. All right. So the administration is hiding a lot, guys. Okay. I personally believe that there's potentially hundreds of Americans that are being held hostage right now by Hamas in those tunnels underneath Gaza. And there's rumors floating around that the U.S. may pump in some kind of a gas into those tunnels to try to free the hostages. What kind of gas that is, I have no idea. But this is very, very concerning, guys. And I think the actual death toll of Americans in the Middle East as a result of the attack from Hamas is much higher than what's being reported. So that's pretty serious. Okay. The Washington Post is reporting that Biden is investigating the possibility of striking Iran's satellites in the Middle East. and that the Biden administration is concerned about attacks on American bases, and they may begin soon attacking the pro-Iranian groups in response. And while Republican members of Congress believe that the retaliatory step will be in favor of the United States, Democrats behind closed doors are expressing fears that new conflicts may arise. Fox News is reporting that U.S. led coalition forces have started live fire exercises at military bases in Iraq and Syria after more than a dozen attacks on American troops over the last week left more than 20 soldiers injured. The Combined Joint Task Force Operation Inherent Resolve said on Wednesday that ground operational exercises to validate weapons systems and maintain crew proficiency and readiness would happen in or near the Al-Hasaka region in Syria and the Khalidia region in Iraq. Okay, so U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria are doing live fire exercises now. Okay, my guess is they're probably going to start testing the CRAM systems, making sure the CRAM systems are all working. They're probably going to do tactical exercises all the way down to the individual and small unit levels. So this is pretty serious, guys. Okay, the Iranian foreign minister warned the U.S. of an unimaginable response if its facilities are attacked. If the U.S. strikes Iran and its associated infrastructure, the response will be beyond all imagination. Okay, that's what the Iranian foreign minister said. Okay, that is crazy, guys. And the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps Deputy Commander in Chief Fadavi said, "We have technologies in the military field that no one knows about, and the Americans will know about them when we use them." And so last night, the Israeli Defense Forces carried out some kind of significant ground operation in the Gaza Strip involving a number of armored vehicles with mounted infantry and tanks. This operation is claimed to have been much larger and penetrated deeper into Gaza than previous raids, with the goal being the destruction of forward positions used by Hamas and the strengthening of defenses near the border fence. And that's what you're looking at right here. This is thermal imagery provided by the Israeli Defense Forces showing them conducting this ground operation, okay, where they entered into Gaza with tanks. Okay, look at this, guys. Here's the border fence. You can see a bunch of tanks here. Okay, footage has been released showing the armored assault last night by the Israeli Defense Force involving a number of Merkava main battle tanks, Caterpillar D9 armored bulldozers, and Puma armored engineering vehicles. During the assault, the bulldozers can be seen clearing dirt piles near the border fence, as well as constructing several paths, which will likely be used during the upcoming invasion. Israel is giving an opportunity for the hostages to be released. We are obviously calling for the immediate, unconditional release of all of them, he tells the Israeli Army radio. Okay, so this is probably why the ground operation has been stalled out, because of all those tunnels that have all the different um, hostages. So, Israel doesn't want to go in and then have hundreds of hostages be killed. Apparently, Russia is hosting Iranian and Hamas senior leaders today in meetings. Okay, senior leaders of Iran and Hamas meeting in Russia. So this just proves that whose side Russia is on. They're not on the side of Israel. Okay, that's very, very clear. And, it almost seems like this is coming right from the Bible. Like this is Ezekiel 38 and 39, when Russia and all the Muslim countries form an alliance and attack Israel. That's what's happening right now. Okay, Russia has formed an alliance with Iran. They're backing up Iran. And in my opinion, and in the opinion of many, many people, Russia was potentially behind this whole attack in Israel. Okay, Russia could have potentially planned this all out with Iran and with Hamas in order to open up another front for NATO. So now NATO is going to have to help Israel out. and they're not going to be able to help Ukraine as much. And so the attention is going to shift from Eastern Europe to the Middle East now, and that's going to open up a window of opportunity for Putin to potentially attack the Baltics, to potentially launch a big counterattack on Ukraine, to potentially do other things, attack other areas. But I'm very concerned that Russia is going to go after the Baltics now, and I'll show you guys some more flight paths from last night that kind of had me concerned, and why I'm so concerned that Russia is going to attack the Baltics. Okay, get prepared, guys. Things are still escalating. Uh, Biden and Netanyahu spoke last night. The White House says they discussed the development of the fighting and the efforts to free hostages. Dmitry Peskov, the spokesman for the Kremlin, said Russia is closely monitoring the deployment of F-16s to the Middle East. The deployment of the U.S. F-16 squadron in the Middle East requires special attention. Russia is closely monitoring the situation. And the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs said that the president of Palestine will soon visit Moscow and hold talks with Vladimir Putin. Okay, so Mahmoud Abbas is going to go to Moscow and speak with Putin. So, guys, they're all together. They're all in it together. Okay, Iran, Palestine, Hamas, Hezbollah, Syria, um, Turkey, Russia, China, North Korea, all these countries, they're all together and they're all against Israel. Okay, this could be the Ezekiel 38 and 39 attack on Israel. We'll have to wait and see. Okay. The Israeli army stated that it had struck more than 250 Hamas facilities in the last 24 hours. And apparently, the long range hypersonic weapon that the army is testing will be tested again October 26th to the 28th off the coast of Cape Canaveral. Okay, they're going to fire this thing off of Cape Canaveral. They were supposed to test it yesterday, and apparently they're going to test it again. This is the long range hypersonic weapon. And the U.S. House of Representatives passed a measure backing Israel in a barbaric war launched by Hamas. In a letter to families of 44 killed Hezbollah leaders, leader of Hezbollah Hassan Nasrallah wrote, "This is the beginning of the inevitable battle for Jerusalem." Okay? The leader of Hezbollah saying this is the beginning of the inevitable battle for Jerusalem, guys. I mean, this is like coming straight out of the Bible, okay? You don't have to be a Christian. I'm not trying to push my beliefs on anybody, but these are my personal beliefs. You don't have to agree with them. But I personally believe that this is Bible prophecy unfolding, and we could be seeing the beginning stages of the Ezekiel 38-39 war, the invasion of Israel. And the president of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, had some comments about Israel. He said Israel won't achieve anything by raining bombs to children, whether you take the U.S. with you or not. And he said, in a world full of the living dead, we will continue to speak the truth and implement political and even military measures if necessary. We will do everything we can. We will not compromise. Okay, so that's the president of Turkey, guys. And the Turkish Nationalist Party leader, Devlet Bahçeli, who happens to be Erdogan's right-hand man, is calling for an invasion of Israel on his Twitter page. He wrote on Twitter that if a ceasefire is not reached within 24 hours from today, if the attacks do not stop, if the bombs continue to fall on the oppressed, then Turkey should immediately intervene and do what is necessary based on the historical, humanitarian, and religious responsibilities. It is the legacy of our ancestors to preserve and protect Gaza. Okay, so the leader of the Turkish Nationalist Party, who happens to be Erdogan's right-hand man, calling for an invasion of Israel, guys. Okay, very, very concerning. And he also wrote that the Republic of Turkey must be ready and determined for any kind of intervention and struggle in the name of humanity and cultivate the climate of peace and solution. If we have to go to Gaza, No one should worry. With the help of God, with the admiration at Al-Aqsa Mosque, we know very well to go wherever we need to. And the Israeli Ministry of Defense has approved the deployment of the Iron Beam system into this war. And Iron Beam is basically a laser missile and air defense system. So it shoots a laser at incoming rockets and missiles. And the Israeli army built a replica of a Palestinian village called Little Gaza, containing 600 buildings in the Negev desert, where Israeli soldiers are training in fighting against Hamas in preparation for the ground operation in Gaza. This is coming from the Wall Street Journal. And what's interesting is the colors of the Palestinian flag actually represent the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Okay, there's green, there's white, there's black, and there's red. Okay, all four of those colors represent the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Now, I don't know why the Palestinian flag is colored like that. I'm not saying that they colored it that way on purpose, but that's just something interesting. And the Russian Ministry of Defense is saying they prevented a Norwegian Air Force P-8 Poseidon from violating Russian airspace. They intercepted the P-8 with MiG-31s. According to Taiwan's Ministry of Defense, China's Shandong aircraft carrier crossed the Bashi Channel into the Western Pacific today, and that means that the U.S. and Chinese aircraft carrier groups are in very close proximity just west of the Bashi Channel right now. Okay, and the Hungarian parliament postponed a vote on Sweden's admission to NATO. And Robert Fico, who's the new prime minister of Slovakia, announced that Slovakia will no longer be providing military assistance to Ukraine. Okay, so I want to just go through some flight paths that are very concerning. And so here we have two reconnaissance planes operated by the U.S. and also a sub hunter plane. And so we had a RC-135 rivet joint, and we had a combat sentinel plane active in the Baltics overnight and this morning. And we also had a sub hunter plane north of Scandinavia. And I'm wondering if this is that sub hunter that Russia claims to have intercepted with MiG-31s. But what's very concerning about this is the combat sentinel plane. Okay, you can see right here how it was flying near St. Petersburg in Finland. Okay, and this plane has been very active in this region. It's been patrolling the Baltics, Poland, and Finland for the last 2 weeks. And there's only two of these planes in the entire U.S. Air Force, and their job is to provide intelligence directly to the president and the Joint Chiefs. Okay, so if one of these planes is in the air somewhere, it means that something is serious enough in that area that the president and the Joint Chiefs want intelligence on that area. Okay, so this plane was just circling right along the border of Finland and Russia and just next to and right next to St. Petersburg. Okay, and then there was also an RC-135 rivet joint reconnaissance plane active in northeastern Poland, and in the Baltics it flew through the Suwalki Gap and into Latvia and Estonia. So a lot of surveillance going on in this area. And like I said, guys, I'm really concerned that once this war kicks off in the Middle East, Russia is going to go into the Baltics, potentially Finland, while the U.S. is distracted with the war in the Middle East when they're fighting Iran and Hezbollah, and all chaos breaks out in the Middle East. When all hell breaks loose in the Middle East, that's when we have to be on very, very high alert, not just because of, the Middle East itself breaking out into war, but other countries may take advantage of that. Okay, Russia could invade the Baltics or Finland or Poland. China could attack Taiwan, North Korea could attack South Korea, and we could have multiple fronts opening up around the world, which basically means World War III. Okay, that's the definition of World War III. Okay, so I'm going to be covering this situation as much as I can So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit the bell icon so you're notified when I upload these emergency updates. And also, when the war kicks off in the Middle East, I will be going live 24/7. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you have the notifications set up so you're notified when I do go live. And also, we had a Russian military cargo plane fly to Kaliningrad last night. So very interesting there. And here's a closer shot of that sub hunter. And we also had more C-17s and C-130s and C-5s going over to Europe last night. These are military cargo planes. I mean, just dozens of them last night. Too many for me to show you. And we also had a concerning situation at a base in Texas. Apparently, Air Force guards had to fire shots at an intruder who tried to drive through the gate. Okay, so I don't know if this was some kind of a jihadist or what, but we have to be on high alert, guys. Okay, here's the Chinese aircraft carrier that's currently near our aircraft carrier in the Western Pacific. This is the Shandong aircraft carrier that China has. Okay, so I'll keep you guys updated, but make sure you have your bug out bag packed and ready to go. Make sure you have a nuclear war survival plan, which should be centered around a fallout shelter. Make sure you carry a self-defense tool 24/7 if it's legal to do so in your area, and make sure you know where the exits are. Make sure you know where cover and concealment is. And other than that, take care. And other than that, I will be back later on tonight or this evening with another update. I may possibly go live. I'm not sure yet. So stay tuned. I will do another update this evening or tonight, possibly live. So take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.